So as we talk about the word more and break that down, today's word is O. We can be motivated, but if we don't know what to do, then what does our motivation lead towards? Well, that leads to our O, and that O is O for observant. And I want you to consider the example that I used in yesterday's video about Dave Ramsey. If Dave Ramsey inspired people to get out of debt, then once they got out of debt, there would be no reason for them to listen. Or maybe it would be about getting through baby step one, saving the $1,000 in an emergency fund. Once they did that, he would lose a lot of listeners. But we need to know what to do. We need to have an idea of what to do. This is where self-help books, motivational speakers, and tell people what to do. But each person has a history and a specific context. That is not to say that we all can't glean value. I mean, one of the values of books is that many of us can read the same book and take nuggets from it and apply that to our lives. That's important. But my history is different from your history. My context and your context in the present might not be much the same as well. And so we have to understand, how can we move forward? How can we observe what needs to be done in order to fulfill whatever motivation that we might have? Well, again, going back to Ramsey, the idea of the baby steps. Once you have your $1,000, then you begin to tackle debt more aggressively, and eventually you begin to save more aggressively, and then you begin to give from the wealth that you might have, if indeed that you do. So these steps that he builds are an approach to continue to help people to not only navigate financially, but to thrive financially as well. But here's the irony of all this. Most people don't like to be told what to do. We really don't, right? But on the other hand, the irony is that most people don't want to think for themselves. So tell me what to do, show me how to do it, and then I'll consider whether I want to do it, but I probably won't tell you that I'm doing it because I made this decision myself. I mean, that's kind of just a left-handed approach of a compliment towards people. But if we don't do that, if we balk at the progress overall, or if we balk at the idea overall, then no progress is going to be made. So how does this apply to the church and the idea of more? Well, our church has had plenty of opportunities before us to make a difference in this community. This week, our church is 136 years old. There has been a lot of difference made in the lives of people over those 136 years. I am thankful to consider myself one who has been blessed by the ministries of this church. I am thankful to be one who has been a part of blessing others through the ministry of this church. But more opportunities exist. But to know what we need to do, we must be, and here's our word, observant. Each person in our church sees opportunities each and every week. All of us do, each and every week, to help and to serve others. Sometimes that help and service might need to be towards ourselves. Sometimes those opportunities might be able to be accomplished by an individual, sometimes by a small group of people. Sometimes it might take the entire church to get involved to make a difference. But whatever it is, it begins with an observation. If we do not see the world around us, we cannot meet the needs of others. Now, please understand, I said needs, not wants. Everybody has wants, but many times we need to listen to the wants to be able to get to the underlying needs and to begin to understand how those two might relate. It goes back to last week's message, actually, from June 28th, the fact that we need to listen, we need to empathize, and then we can best act. For the past few years, we've had an opportunity section in the bulletin and in the newsletter. But those opportunities are not always about observations. They're often about events. And that's okay. We need to have times where we come together as a church to celebrate and to do different things. And we will continue to publish those types of opportunities as we go forward. But the real opportunities for ministry begin with observation. And that needs to be our focus as we try to achieve more as a church. Those observations are going to come from others who have observed and who are observing the needs that are around us. Our church has what we call a blessings team. And I'm commissioning all of us today to be a part of the blessings team. That as we see and observe those needs, that we can meet those needs and be a blessing to others, that we can communicate those needs within the church and be a blessing to others. You know what we don't need to do? We don't need to vote to be a blessing to others. So, what we do need to do is we do need to be observant. We need to be motivated. We need to be observant. But then we will need to be intentional to move beyond just observing the needs around us. But to act, we're going to have to take time to really consider the real issue, and that will be the focus of tomorrow's video.